Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are lucky enough to be here for our, I'm looking at my watch, our May 2018 Coffee Pot webinar, where today we are talking to Dan Mintz and Elise Fandrich from MetaJure about their product, MetaJure ILLUMINATE, which works with Worldox and Practice Master. But we're kind of talking about Worldox today because they've written some new hooks into it to further integrate. And they'll probably mention MetaJure on its own as well. But really today we're talking about MetaJure ILLUMINATE working with Worldox. And more on that in just a second, because I'm going to switch control to Elise, who is going to take over. Elise, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and saying hi while I get this figured out.
Well, hi. Yeah, my name is Elise, and I practiced law for 5 years before I came to MetaJure, which I've been here for about a year now. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about MetaJure today. And before I do, though, I'm going to let Dan go through a few slides with us. So I'll make sure that we start this slideshow. And he'll tell you a little bit about the product. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about my personal experience when I was practicing and how MetaJure would have been useful for me. So Dan, can you see my screen? You want to go ahead and take it away?
Absolutely. Thank you, Elise. Well, I'm here to talk about MetaJure ILLUMINATE and give you information before we get into the details. And actually, we named it MetaJure ILLUMINATE because it's a product that lights up the dark data in your firm. It lets you easily find what you're looking for, and as Paul had said, works on top of Worldox, in addition to Practice Master or other document management systems. And the bottom line is that we all spend far too much of our valuable time searching for documents and emails. And the question is, why is finding information such a problem? And actually, in looking at that, we actually tracked our own client base and found that last year the average lawyer created or received about 26,000 documents and emails during the year. That comes out to about 70 to 80 a day. And the numbers are growing to the tune of 30% increase in electronic information over the last couple of years. And probably not a huge surprise is, the biggest piece is email. You can see in the orange on the slide. More and more laws is being transacted via email. There's also more PDFs, electronic documents, as firms are going more paperless, which is really a good thing. But with that, there are definitely challenges, and really dark data, as I mentioned earlier, that's a key problem. And it's that, like the iceberg slide, that the information beneath the surface, we just see the tip of the iceberg, because manual filing systems can't always keep up, especially email. It becomes difficult with an overwhelming amount of email to get email into a document management system, but it's hard to find information that didn't get filed. And actually, that's really one of the reasons that MetaJure was founded. We were founded by lawyers who experienced the exact same problems, and that's why that's why we set the system up and designed this around how lawyers work to accomplish those goals. So what we came up with MetaJure ILLUMINATE, and what we do is we automatically index everything, no matter where the information is, whether it's in Worldox, on the file share, in an archive, in Outlook, in another DMS. So we're gonna index everything, and nobody has to change anything with their daily workflow. So if you're putting your documents into Worldox, you can keep doing what you're doing. Using Outlook, you're dragging emails into different folders. Whatever you're doing, there's no changes required to that, and we just work silently right on top. And then getting information out is very easy. Basically, if you can use Google, you can use MetaJure. It really is just that easy.
So I'm going to take it back from Dan now and tell you a little bit about how this can help you in your practice. And here we have our MetaJure home screen. And this, like Dan said, like, if you can use Google, you can use MetaJure. It's very simple. It's pretty straightforward. You would have your firm name up here if you wanted to. We have all of these different documents, and this is basically where anything in your firm is stored. All your documents, all your email, any PDFs, anything that is on shared drives in Worldox, Practice Master, Outlook, Archives, or other data repositories. You can find it all here, and you have this little location, this narrow by pane, where you can narrow your results by location. So here's where we're talking about if you had Worldox, you could just look in there. You can narrow by file type, emails, Word, PDF, any of those things. And this is just a really easy to use interface. So if I just wanted to look for, say, a motion for summary judgment, I could type in motion for summary judgment, hit find, and it's going to bring up all of those relevant documents in just a matter of seconds. Very easy to use. And I love this program because when I was practicing, I had an experience where I needed to find a civil motion, a draft of a civil motion that I knew our firm had drafted at some point in the past, but I hadn't done it myself. And the law in the area hadn't changed very much, so I knew I could use that motion as a rough template, but I didn't know where one was located. So I went ahead and tried searching our document management system with its search tool, and I didn't have any luck, so I wasted 15 minutes doing that. And then I drafted an email around to all the other attorneys asking if they knew, if they drafted a motion like that, or if they knew where one was stored. So that wasted another 10 minutes, and I'm sure it irritated a lot of my colleagues because I was filling up their inbox with not a very important email. So then I did another search on Windows and didn't have any luck there, so I wasted another 10 minutes doing that. Finally, the next day, a partner emailed me with a copy of the email, or a copy of the motion attached to an email. He said, oh, I had actually sent this to a summer associate last year, and so yeah, here I found it, and here you go. Well, that was great, but I had then waited a day to work on that motion, so I was a little behind where I wanted to be. And if I had had MetaJure, I could have found this instantly. So here I could have just searched motion for order shortening time and hit find. And there I have it, right there in just a few seconds. I had a Word document, the PG&E motion for order shortening time. That was going to give me the relevant law I needed. And it was a Word document, so I could work from it, make changes, and save a new copy. I could have saved so much of a headache and so much time looking for this document that I needed to do the work I wanted to do. So the bottom line is, MetaJure would have found that information immediately, and I wouldn't have had to wait. I think this is also really helpful when you're thinking about just searching for a topic across the whole firm. Like, you want to know, what is all of our firm doing about one particular topic? And I know, Dan, I think you have a search that you like to do with that when you're trying to explain sort of how you can look for lots of information.
Yeah, no, this is something that gets done a lot. I mean, you want to search just a very broad-based search across a topic. You're not really sure, who's been involved with that particular topic or where that information may be. But let's type in, I want to look for everything around the firm pertaining to mergers. We'll just type in mergers, and then go ahead and search on that. So that's gonna look for for everything all over, whether it be email and Outlook, whether it be information in Worldox and or in your file share, and it's going to look through all that and go back up to the top, Elise. So if there's a folder anywhere named mergers, which there is, in this case it's on the client's drive on the shared server. Well, if there's a folder, it's going to always be on top because it allows you to dive into that folder if you wish. You can see in MetaJure there's it always will show folders and they're clickable links, so you can actually dive into that information. So it gives you the ability to do that. Then it will show all the information pertaining to mergers. So really, the bottom line, MetaJure finds this information immediately. Again, no matter whether information is an email attachment in the body of the email, in the document management system, Worldox in an archive, and it really allows me to get smart fast on the topic.
Yeah, and I know that we have a couple lawyers on the line today, and we also have some firm administrators, and I really kind of want to talk to them, because I know when I was practicing, my firm administrator was just a valuable part of the team, and whenever she would bring solutions to me for these types of problems, it was just a huge relief and help, because I was so busy just kind of doing the work that I needed to do. So when I was having something that was wasting my time, particularly on non-billable issues, if I had someone who came to me and said, hey, there's a way you can save this time and you don't have to do that, or we'll take care of this for you, it was just such a huge relief to know that there was someone out there kind of who had my back and was looking for tools and ways to save us time and help us redirect that time to billable hours, which is, really where we need to be doing it, because time is money in our business. So while we have the demo screen up, I wanted to talk a little bit about email sharing, because one of the biggest features of MetaJure is the fact that we automatically index and can include your email in this search tool, and that's something that's pretty unique to our program. So as you can see down here under file type, we have this email category, so you can select that and just see emails. It's also helpful to note our date narrow by, so if you wanted to look at emails from the past month, the past week, or the past a custom range, you could do that. Looks like we haven't emailed anything. So that's a nice feature if you want to say, oh, I need to find certain emails from January 1st through January 31st, 2015. You can go through and do that custom search. And the way that you get emails in, there's a little sort of program that sits on everybody's individual desktop, and that will pull in your emails into MetaJure. And I think often when we talk about email, people are thinking, oh, well, I don't want everybody to see my whole email, and I don't want to share everything in my inbox. And the great answer is that you don't have to. And in fact, the default is when we install that little program, you're not sharing email with everybody. The default is that you're sharing email with no one else in your firm. You're just able to search your own email. That's only viewable to you. But we have this sharing center that's up now that allows you to go through and just select what sort of folders or subfolders you'd like to share with the rest of the firm. So here we have my email inbox. And what you see here is just, a mirror image of like all the folders that I have organized in my own inbox. And so if I have subfolders or client folders, they'll appear here just like they do in Outlook. So here at the top level, we have my inbox, and I've selected not shared because that's just everything coming into my inbox, and maybe I'm getting like CLE information or stuff from the bar, and I don't want to gum up everybody's search tool with those emails. But below there, I've created this client folder in CL, and whenever I drag my emails related to that client into there, I'd be happy to share those with the rest of the firm. So I've gone ahead and selected all that will share with everybody. So anything that I pull into that folder, everyone's going to be able to find that email in MetaJure. And then here I have another folder, 2001 plan, where it was going to be an administrative project I was working on with a group of attorneys in our firm. So I don't want to share that with everybody, but I will go ahead and share it with the relevant attorneys who worked on that group with me. And so I can hit selectively shared, and I can select the users and hit add users here. And then I get a pick list of all the attorneys and staff in our firm, and I can just go through and click whoever I want to share it with, hit share, and now that person shows up on a long list of these attorneys who can see that folder. So now only those users will be able to see any emails I drag into that 2001 plan. So yeah, that's our sharing center, and this can be really helpful. You know, finding emails is something that was difficult for us too. And, you know, using the example I talked about earlier, that attorney had said that he'd emailed a copy of that motion to a summer associate. Had he shared his email, I also could have just found it that way, because in addition to searching the email bodies, MetaJure also searches attachments to emails. So it's really great if you have documents attached to something, it's looking through those documents as well, and those will appear in your search results. Yeah, so you can do that, and you can also search for, you know, really specific things. So, Dan, I think maybe you had a customer recently who was looking for invoices. Is that right?
Yeah. You know, I talked earlier about, you know, searching very broadly across the topic. This is the complete other side. I'm looking for something super specific, and, you know, I'm looking for, you know, for one document, and, you know, and I might find that document in Worldox, but I don't find the related email that may be needed for context. In this case, I'm going to look for a document actually that didn't even make in the DMS. I'm going to look for a specific invoice, and I'm going to explain that. So I have one piece of information. I know the invoice number, so I'm going to go ahead and type that in, and that's 101-26830. That's all I know, and I'm going to see if I can find that invoice and go ahead and search on that. So we found it right away. Now this is an interesting example. Yeah, didn't make it in the Worldox. Actually, it wasn't even put in any particular folder. The invoice was scanned in and went to the scanner docs drive. Nobody put it in the DMS or any folder. It was auto file name. There was nothing really there that really, you know, helped in the search and finding it. But if you click on that PDF under document, look at the text preview, what you'll see is we picked up the first of all, we found this. You know, it may have become dark data, but we found it because we automatically OCR every single document, even email attachments, and we found it because the text of the invoice number was in the body of that invoice, and you can see it was highlighted. So we pick up the highlighted search terms. There it is. So it may not have been found, and so because it was OCR'd automatically, we find it that way. In addition, this is what we were, you know, Elise was talking about the email. Well, it's nice to have the related email. I found the invoice, but I want to see, well, who sent it? Who was it sent to? When was it sent? So I've got the related email now. I can see that Richard Sanders sent it to Linda Gwynn on a particular date. So it's nice to have that email also. A lot of times for that context, it's nice. We're picking up everything.
Yeah, I love that example because often, and particularly for billing records, you know, for firm admins or anybody in accounting or anyone having to deal with sending clients bills, that can be really useful if you need very quickly confirmation that, okay, I did send them that bill, I know the invoice number, I can find that right away and confirm when it is that I sent the client that email. I know for me that was important when we were looking at collections and billing. The last example I want to show you is when you're kind of looking for emails across a whole, across the sort of same subject. So for example, say we were working on an amendment to a document and an amendment to a contract, and we had the final version, but I really wanted to understand, like, how did we get here, and what prior versions have we looked at, and what was the email conversation between, you know, my colleagues about this particular amendment. And so I can go ahead and search aspect amendment. Aspect was the name of our client and the contract we were working for. And, you know, here I see, oh, there's some stuff that made it into Worldox. There's some stuff on shared PCs. And so I want to go ahead and just look at the emails around this. And here right away, I have a bunch of emails from Gerald Nimick and other partners. So I can see all of those emails in one place. And this is really useful, I think, too, for me. You know, I often would say, well, I want to see all of my emails, all of my conversation with opposing counsel from this particular date range. So I know last month we talked a lot about this particular client, and I can't remember all the communication, but I really want to see all of it in one place. So you can do that in Outlook, but I find that to be a little more clunky, whereas here you can just see the list right away, everything that we've talked about, everything related to that client all in one place, documents as well as emails and all of the relevant information. You can just find it immediately. So that's a nice feature. And then, yeah, so here we have the homepage again, and I will go ahead and turn it back over to Dan to talk about sales information. But as you can see, it's just really easy to use, simple, intuitive, and I just really emphasize that I wish I had had a helpful tool like this when I was practicing. It would have saved me so much time and headache, and so I hope that this has been helpful. So Dan, I'll go ahead and switch back over to our slides. And yeah, you can talk a little bit about your contact information.
Thank you very much, Elise. Well, we went through everything, in a very short period of time in this webinar. So if I'm always more than happy to go through this in more detail anytime on a one-on-one. So you can always reach me for that. And if you're interested in MetaJure, you can talk to me. You can talk to Paul. We work together, and you see on the screen my contact information. Can call, email me anytime. And thank all of you for taking the time this morning.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Elise. A couple points I'd make. We're talking about this dark data, and email is huge because everybody knows that lawyers especially don't get all of their email in the right place in Worldox. That's a huge point. There are a lot of other points. You talked about invoices. One thing that came to mind for me is invoices going out. Right now, a lot of billing departments, we work with tabs pretty much exclusively, so we have about 1,500 clients using tabs, and I get a lot of questions. How do we quickly get the clients' invoices into Worldox? It's a big problem for people that are producing work that's not really related to the legal matter, but relevant, like a bill. This covers it. The other thing that I think is huge that Elise touched on is the unified interface. I mean, you can find all this stuff. Even if you have to go to different machines, you can find it. But you have to know how to search in Outlook versus how to search in Windows File Explorer versus how to search in Worldox. And frankly, we have a lot of clients that don't even know how to really effectively search in Worldox. And here we've got all this dark data that lives outside of Worldox, and it's a big problem with all the different interfaces. So MetaJure lays on top of all that and gives you a common unified interface to get anything you want, even though it's coming from Worldox, where you can also search with very powerful functionality. So I think that's huge as well. I'm going to attempt to press all the magic buttons again so I can get things back to us. Thank you, Dan and Elise, for that, and thank you, Leanne, for not interrupting us. There must not have been any questions. I am going to end by going over to our website so that you can see where you can get this content and all sorts of other content. So I'm going to take you to attorneycomputersystems.com. Notice the way I emphasize the last S in the word systems, because without it, you won't get to the right place. This video link, which you can click, or you can actually click on one of the titles, but if you hover over it, you'll get the titles. And if you click on it, you'll get to a page that describes our 6 titles. 4 of them are live events. We have the Coffee Pot webinars that we're currently on. That's where we present other vendors' solutions to enhance the value of our 3 core products, which are Tabs 3 and Practice Master and Worldox. We also have our monthly virtual user group meetings. We have one for Tabs, one for Practice Master, one for Worldox. And then we do also have two pre-recorded events, or titles, I should say. We have the Mary Jo has her eBytes video series. Mary Jo is our lead billing and accounting and Worldox consultant. And so she does one of these every month for Tabs, one for Practice Master, and one for Worldox. They're little short 3-4 minute videos where we take something really cool that we've discovered or that we think you should discover that we can explain very quickly in 3 or 4 minutes. And we have our longer format, Paul and Mary Jo Show, where we kind of do the same thing, but it's usually a broader topic, something that's going to take 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes to get through all the nooks and crannies and explain it in full detail. So if you're interested in any of these titles, you can simply click on them, and you'll get a description of what it is. This is our monthly webinar series on add-on products. You'll see something about what the next event is. This will change a little later today. And you'll find a very detailed description of what the event is or what the video is about. If it's a live event, you'll find 2 different links to register. They're both taking to the same thing, but some people like to click on something where they can see what they're clicking on. And then as you scroll down, what you'll find is that we have pre-recorded or recorded versions of everything we've ever done. So you can kind of come to the topic that interests you, like the webinar series or the Worldox virtual user group meeting, and just kind of scroll through and browse, if you will. If you know what you're looking for, you can simply go up to search and type something in. It's always at the top. So if I was going to look for, let's say, emailing statements and tabs, I might type email and either pick from the short list that pops up right away or hit enter and pick from a longer list that gives a little more description. But the point is, these videos, we have a little over 800 videos on our website. We record 10 new ones every month, so it's growing rapidly. These videos are there 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year for you to take advantage of, and we certainly do hope that you'll do that. So, to end, I hope everybody has a good rest of the day, good rest of the month, and we will see you next month. Thanks much, everybody. Bye-bye.